Henry Cavill's journey to becoming Superman wasn't just about building muscle or looking good on camera. It was about proving that when life keeps knocking you down, you can use that pain as fuel to achieve something extraordinary. The process he underwent didn't just give him the body of a superhero. It fundamentally rewired his entire approach to what's possible in life. And here's the thing. The same principles that transformed this British actor into the Man of Steel can be applied to any area of your existence, whether you're trying to build wealth, transform your physique, or achieve any seemingly impossible goal. But before we dive into this incredible transformation, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. When Zack Snyder offered Henry Cavill the role of Superman in the early 2010s, the weight of expectation was crushing. This wasn't just another acting job, this was his shot at redemption. After years of coming close but never quite landing those career-defining roles, Henry understood that failure wasn't an option. The stakes couldn't have been higher. The pressure was immense because Superman isn't just any character, he's an icon, a symbol that represents hope and strength for millions of people worldwide. Previous actors who had worn the cape had become legends, and Henry knew that if he couldn't deliver, it wouldn't just be career suicide, it would be a betrayal of everyone who believed in him. This moment of reckoning would become the catalyst for a transformation so profound that it would change not just his body, but his entire mindset about what he was capable of achieving. Little did he know, he was about to embark on a journey that would teach him lessons far beyond the gym walls. Henry Cavill faced a significant challenge as he prepared for his Superman role. Coming fresh off his performance in Immortals, he possessed an athletic build that looked impressive on screen, but it lacked the commanding presence that Superman demanded. His physique was lean and defined, yet it didn't carry the weight of authority that audiences expected from the last son of Krypton. The transformation required wasn't just about adding muscle mass, it was about completely reimagining his physical presence. Henry needed to embody power, strength, and an almost otherworldly capability that would make audiences believe he could actually fly and lift impossible weights. This meant abandoning his current physique and building something entirely new from the ground up. The nutritional strategy became the cornerstone of this transformation. Henry committed to consuming an extraordinary amount of food daily, reaching peaks of 5,000 calories during his most intensive bulking phases. However, this wasn't the stereotypical bodybuilder approach of endless chicken breasts, steamed broccoli, and plain rice that many associate with serious muscle building. Instead, Henry's approach included strategic indulgences that served both psychological and physiological purposes. His meal plan incorporated burgers, pizza, pasta, and other carbohydrate-rich foods that many fitness enthusiasts would consider forbidden. This wasn't reckless eating, it was calculated fuel designed to support the grueling training regimen that lay ahead. The genius of this nutritional approach lay in its sustainability. By allowing himself these satisfying meals, Henry could maintain the mental stamina required for months of intense preparation without feeling deprived or developing an unhealthy relationship with food. The high caloric intake served a specific purpose, providing his body with the raw materials necessary to build significant muscle mass, while maintaining the energy levels required for his demanding training schedule. But consuming 5,000 calories daily without proper training would have resulted in unwanted fat gain rather than the heroic physique Superman required. This massive caloric intake was only viable because of the extraordinary physical demands that would soon be placed on his body. Every extra calorie would need to be justified through intense physical exertion. The timing of this nutritional phase was crucial. Henry understood that building the Superman physique wasn't just about looking good in a costume. It was about developing the physical capabilities that would allow him to perform the demanding stunts and action sequences that modern superhero films require. His body needed to not only look powerful but actually become powerful. This foundation-building phase represented more than just physical preparation. It demonstrated Henry's commitment to completely transforming himself for the role, showing a level of dedication that would set the tone for everything that followed. The willingness to consume such large quantities of food, knowing that every calorie would need to be earned through sweat and effort, revealed the mindset of someone truly committed to excellence. Enter Mark Twight, a name that strikes both respect and fear in the fitness world. As the owner of Jim Jones, Twight had already established his reputation by sculpting the cast of 300 into ancient warriors, but his expertise extended far beyond Hollywood transformations. His client roster included MMA fighters, NFL players, and military personnel, each requiring a different kind of physical and mental fortitude. Twight's philosophy differed dramatically from typical celebrity trainers who focused solely on aesthetics. His core belief centered on a simple but profound concept: appearance should be the natural consequence of functional fitness, not its primary goal. He believed that by training the body to become stronger, more athletic, and genuinely resilient, an impressive physique would emerge as a byproduct of genuine capability. This approach aligned perfectly with Henry's needs for the Superman role. The character demanded more than just visual appeal, he needed to embody actual strength and athleticism that would translate convincingly on screen during intense action sequences and demanding stunt work. However, Dwight understood that throwing Henry directly into his notoriously brutal training methods would be counterproductive and potentially dangerous. Instead, he implemented a strategic preparatory phase that demonstrated the wisdom of his experience. Before Henry could even step foot in Jim Jones for their face-to-face sessions, he was required to complete 2 months of independent training. This preparatory period served multiple critical purposes. It allowed Henry to build a solid foundation of cardiovascular fitness, basic strength, and movement patterns that would be essential for the intense training ahead. More importantly, it gave his connective tissues, joints, and nervous system time to adapt gradually to increased physical demands. This methodical approach represents a crucial principle that applies to anyone embarking on a serious fitness transformation. The temptation to dive immediately into high-intensity training often leads to injury, burnout, or both. Dwight's insistence on this foundation-building phase demonstrated his understanding that sustainable progress requires patience and systematic progression. The 2-month solo preparation phase also served as a mental conditioning period. It tested Henry's commitment and discipline while building the habits and mindset necessary for the grueling months that would follow. By the time Henry was ready to train directly with Dwight, he had already proven his dedication and developed the baseline fitness required to benefit from the legendary trainer's methods. This careful, methodical approach would prove essential for what was about to unfold for months of training so intense that Henry would later describe it as the most challenging physical experience of his life. The 4 months that followed would push Henry Cavill beyond every limit he thought he possessed. Training sessions stretched up to 2.5 hours daily, occurring 4 to 5 times per week under Mark Dwight's relentless supervision. Henry would later describe this period as absolutely excruciating, but also as the defining moment of his entire transformation journey. What made this training particularly brutal wasn't just the physical intensity, it was the mental warfare that accompanied every session. Each workout became a battle against his own limitations, forcing him to confront the voice in his head that whispered he couldn't push any further. Day after day, Henry learned to silence that voice and push through barriers he never knew existed. The psychological transformation occurring during these sessions proved to be just as significant as the physical changes. Every completed rep under crushing fatigue, every moment he chose to continue when his body screamed to stop, built something far more valuable than muscle mass. It built unshakable mental resilience. This process revealed a fundamental truth about intense physical training that extends far beyond the gym walls. When you consistently push through the discomfort of that final rep or that extra set, you're not just building physical strength, you're developing the psychological tools necessary to overcome challenges in every area of life. The confidence gained from proving to yourself that you can endure more than you thought possible becomes transferable to career obstacles, financial challenges, and personal relationships. The discipline required to show up consistently, even on days when motivation was completely absent, taught Henry lessons about commitment that would serve him throughout his career. Those cold mornings when every fiber of his being wanted to stay in bed, yet he still dragged himself to the gym for another punishing session, were building the character traits that separate successful people from those who give up when things become difficult. This wasn't just about preparing for a movie role anymore, it had become a complete reconstruction of Henry's understanding of his own capabilities. The man who entered that gym was emerging as someone fundamentally different, someone who had discovered that the limits he previously accepted were largely self-imposed mental constructs rather than genuine physical boundaries. Through this crucible of intense training, Henry wasn't just becoming Superman on screen, he was developing the real-world strength, discipline, and mental fortitude that would define his approach to every future challenge. The training methodology that transformed Henry Cavill into Superman was rooted in CrossFit principles and functional movement patterns. Mark Dwight's approach constantly varied the workouts, ensuring that Henry's body never fully adapted to any single routine. This unpredictability kept his physique continuously challenged and evolving throughout the preparation period. The foundation of their training sessions revolved around compound movements that built real-world strength and athleticism. Kettlebell swings, deadlifts, rowing machine intervals, and farmer's carries became staples of Henry's routine. These weren't just exercises chosen for their muscle-building potential. They were movements that developed the kind of functional power that would translate directly to his on-screen performance as Superman. However, it's crucial to understand why this approach worked specifically for Henry Cavill, and why it might not be the optimal choice for everyone seeking physical transformation. Henry brought significant advantages to this training style that most people simply don't possess. His lifelong athletic background had already developed a mobility, lifting technique and cardiovascular base that CrossFit demands for the average person attempting to build muscle and lose fat efficiently. This approach presents significant challenges. The learning curve for mastering complex movements safely is steep and time-consuming. The sport-like nature of CrossFit carries inherent injury risks that could derail progress for months. Most importantly, the extended onboarding period required means that visible physical changes might be delayed significantly compared to more straightforward training approaches. Traditional bodybuilding methods, while perhaps less exciting, offer a more direct path to physique transformation for most individuals. The movements are simpler to learn, the injury risk is lower, and progress toward aesthetic goals tends to be more predictable and measurable. Henry's transformation succeeded because the method aligned with his specific goals, timeline, existing abilities, and the resources available to him. The key lesson isn't necessarily to replicate his exact approach, but to understand how he committed completely to a method that suited his unique circumstances. The real takeaway from Henry Cavill's Superman transformation isn't the specific exercises or training split he followed, it's the unwavering dedication he showed to becoming the best version of himself, regardless of how challenging the process became. If today's journey into Henry Cavill's incredible transformation has inspired you to push your own limits, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Tomorrow brings another powerful story of human potential, and you won't want to miss the life-changing insights we have in store. Hit that subscribe button now. Your future self will thank you for the inspiration that's coming your way.